Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me is Evgeni.
I used to be last in this, but now I'm not.
That's true, because lastly, from a ridiculously long hiatus, is the Brit himself, Ben.
Hi guys, I'm back.
Where have you been? Where's Rachel?
Where is she?
Why did you say that name?
Where is he?
Right, I've been moving house. I've been getting married. I've been doing loads of stuff. It's been great. I've had a great time.
Yeah, you are. There is now the Overlord Jebus.
There is
Officially.
Yes.
Yeah.
Joining Miss Jaffwa.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Mrs. Jaffwa.
Yeah.
Mrs.
Yeah.
I'll need to take her to a signing and tell her to ask a question so she can get
Cited as
Signed,
Overlord
yes.
Jebus,
Cited,
yes. Yes, you do need to do that. This week, guys, we are going to be talking about recent Words of Brandon from WorldCon in August, all the way up through September's FanX convention. It won't have Legion release Words of Brandon, but we'll probably do an episode on that one. But there were a few events that really didn't have too much. The bulk of what we have is from FanX, which was formerly known as Salt Lake Comic-Con until they got sued. True story.
fun fact.
Completely accurate.
Welcome to 2018, everyone.
Well, no, the Salt Lake Comic-Con people were literally going around San Diego Comic-Con telling people to go to their con and were giant dicks about it. So
wow.
it was pretty bad.
Wow.
Anyway, let's start with WorldCon.
So this first one is about the next Wax and Wane book. And the question asks, will it be out next year, 2019? Maybe. I can't promise yet. It depends on how the writing goes the last half of this year. January 1st, I have to start on Stormlight 4. And so I'm trying to squeeze the last Wax and Wane in after I finish Skyward 2. Which, he's still writing Skyward 2 at the moment, so...
Didn't he say later recently that he's going to do Skyward 3 right now? After Skyward 2?
He says he wants to.
Yeah, I think
He's
so.
thinking about stuff. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if he's decided 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I know before he started writing any Skyward, he did say he wanted to get that whole trilogy down and done and sorted.
Yeah.
And he had,
Yeah.
Moral of the story, don't expect the Lost Metal anytime soon.
It's very lost.
Yeah.
Maybe 2019. Almost definitely not later than 2020.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like-
I think later he said that if he can't get Lost Metal this year, he'll work on it during revisions for Stormlight 4. So,
Yeah.
great.
I think he said between parts of Stormlight
Yeah.
4,
Or
know,
something.
which I don't know if his parts
Well,
with a capital P or not.
Brandon typically can write new content and revise different content simultaneously, so that
Yep.
could work. But I feel like Brandon's very momentum based, and so if between parts doing a different world, I don't know about that. I don't know how well that's gonna work. But
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons he wants to finish Skyward, because he's been
Right.
writing that for the past, 6 months?
yeah, well,
longer than that.
A lot longer than
he
that.
said.
Since,
Yeah, it has been
like, a
longer.
year at this point.
Yeah, definitely at least a year.
Sure.
And he said he's lost time because he canceled Apocalypse Guard, and also
Mhm.
Skyward 2.
Secret project.
He had to scrap Skyward 2, like a large chunk of it, like twice now. He was saying
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
That's why he's a little behind, but that's what's going on.
But Brandon's behind is still miles ahead of
Yeah.
most
he's-
other authors. So.
we are getting we got Legion, we get Skyward, and he will definitely be starting Stormlight in January. So
Mhm.
Where's Winds of Winter, George? Where is it?
where is it? Or book 3 Patrick Rothfuss. Ha, hilarious. Great meme. Anyway, so now that people are good and offended, let's go to the next one.
In this next WoB, Sparkle Hearts,
Yay,
who's
Sparkle Hearts.
a member
Yeah.
of our community and has been going to all of the events in recent
Seriously,
times.
though.
Yeah, mad props. She asks about the story about the girl who looked up and whether
Yes.
that's an actual story or just a metaphor, whether there's any factual stuff about it. To which Brandon says that Hoid did hear the story from someone, but not from Shallan, because they're telling the story together in at least one of the scenes there. And then continues to mention that there is something more to this entire story than what we see in the books, and especially in the part where Hoid joins Shallan in her retelling. So this is in Kholinar when Shallan is losing it completely.
Right.
Yeah.
And Hoid goes and tries to help her out a little bit because he's a swell guy. The actual line here to pay attention to is there's actually a little bit to it, to the story, that I can't talk about, that probably tells you more than I even should already. There are some weird things about that story, particularly the version that Hoid is involved in.
I need to reread that because I'm like, I
Right.
didn't remember that being
As-
that different. Like,
It's very. The differences are subtle. I think the differences are mainly the girl's motivation for climbing the wall is different.
Ooh.
And then obviously Shallan stops telling it basically halfway through, and then Hoid then finishes it where the storm comes down, the storm brings down the wall, but the people are happy that they got the light because they'd rather live in light with the storm hitting them than live in darkness again with the wall
Right.
back up.
Yep.
So it's slight differences, and it's it's just more complete when Hoid tells it. But I've kind of when I went back and read this WoB, I went back and read the two stories and took down the differences, and I think that Hoid's version of the story, where this tale was originally told, was related to the first time humans got investiture. I know a lot of people think the original story that Shallan told is about the humans taking Stormlight or something like that from the Pash on Roshar, but I think that the original story goes way further back than that.
Huh.
And it's just, yeah.
And if that is the case, then it would make sense for the story to carry over if it was being passed from, let's say, from Yolen to Ashen to
I guess
Roshar
so. Yeah.
in some form.
Yeah. Well, that'll just be weird if on whenever we get Lost Metal, when it's like, have you heard about the girl who looked up? Like, what? Crazy. What? I
What
never
about
heard
this?
this legend.
Wax and Wayne are going to walk around and Wax is going to be like, this girl, she's looking up. That's weird.
And Wayne's gonna hit on the girl. You know.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And she's actually Renette's girlfriend.
Moving on. Then we had a short event, a charity stream thing called Read for Pixels.
which was surprisingly good when it comes to
Yeah.
WoBs.
It
They
was.
picked like very interesting questions that
Yeah.
are actually interesting.
Yeah,
I was
rather than
very
just
happy
like
with the
all like,
moderator.
tell me about being a writer and things like that.
Yeah.
Like there
Yeah.
was certainly quite a bit of that, but you know.
Right, so the first one we got from that event, or we got a few, but there was a lot of questions that were like, tell me about being a writer.
Yeah.
But the first one we have, is, could someone burn an elementically inert metal that was invested silver or invested lead? That was from Wire Segal.
Hi, Wire.
Brandon said, I'm going to give you a no on this one. I rarely just straight up give no's, but you've got to remember that the elementic metal is the key, and the power behind it is going to be accessible without the key. Now, there are more inaccessible. Yes.
Important distinction there.
It is a very important distinction. Now, there are more things that are elementically viable than have been discovered or talked about.
What?
But that's the problem right there. If it's not the right metal, if it doesn't provide the right... I'll stop at key. If it isn't the right key, we'll get more into this as the Cosmere progresses. So that's a rare no from me. Usually you're going to get a, well, it depends.
I like that Brandon just said no, but then said the key line of, there are more things that are elementically viable than have been discovered or talked about.
Yes.
So the
I
or
wonder-
talked
it's
about
a no
is-
to the question. Like, that's something else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the part that I think is the most interesting part.
So
Yes,
I
yes.
wonder if he's talking about more metals or more materials.
I reckon he
Oh.
may just be referring to the god medals.
No,
Yeah.
more
or
God
talked
metals out
about though, or talked about. It's like there's something other than all of those that are elementically viable. Like we figure god metals would be elementically viable, right?
Yeah, true.
That's
right?
true. Hmm.
And their alloys.
And and all their alloys, and presumably any other god metals of other shards, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Which is
Good
crazy.
old 14 million allomantic combinations or whatever it is.
I want to think that that's what that means, right? With god metals, but or talked about. Obviously, we've always talked about god metals. That's
Yeah,
nothing
Unless what he means is just god metals of shards that we haven't talked about.
new. I guess.
Or he means in the books they haven't been talked about because obviously the characters in the books aren't aware that there's more gods out there, so they haven't spoken about the other god medals. Maybe.
Oh, maybe or talked about is in perspective with the characters. Okay,
Yeah.
that's possible.
Canonically.
Sure.
I think they're starting to figure that out because they have Trellium. Like
Yeah,
they're
they definitely have started working it out by now, yeah.
and they're the broadsheet page asks if Harmony has a metal, which
Yeah.
is et metal,
Yeah.
because you refuse to say harmonium. Yes.
because harmonium is a stupid name
All right.
Harmony's great.
unless you're talking about a musical instrument.
Noted. Well noted. Your concern is noted, and I don't know if Brandon cares.
And also ignored.
And probably
yeah.
yeah, maybe. But I guess this leaves the door open for maybe other things than god metals to be elementically viable, which is weird.
No, the door is a different magic system, Ian.
Well,
Fuck
first of all, I'm
He's
not
Eric.
God,
I'm
every
Ian.
time. Oh, God. I'll get used to
A
it.
for effort.
10 out of 10. We're keeping that
Delete
goof
that
in.
joke. I failed.
We're
No!
not editing that out. All right, next question. So the Mad Literalist asks, why is the storm that goes backwards called the Everstorm and not the reverse storm? Brandon, that is actually Arapho. I can explain the terminology a lot better after upcoming books are out.
What?
What?
Is this the one where
Which
he just
this
got
was
the
supposed
biggest
to be
grin
a
on his
joke
face?
question.
Yeah.
Like, what? What terminology? What do we need to... What? We don't even know what we don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, this is like with the listener gods. We had no idea how much we didn't know. What do we not know, Brandon?
It's so... I guess there's a very, very specific reason it's called the Everstorm. There must be.
That's
Like,
the only explanation I
That's
see.
the only explanation, yeah.
Will we learn about when it was designed long ago? The Shardcast classic.
Ooh.
That's
Yeah.
a big Shardcast meme of what Everstorm. What does it mean for it to be old of design? What is Vax?
What is...
Shards are dragons.
And does the Everstorm come from Vax?
It's always been in Vax, so that's why it's the Everstorm, because it's
Right?
every
Right.
it's all present on Vax. Easy. Great. The next one is is kind of on the same flavor of like, what?
Oh, God.
I'm so excited.
So this is from Mitoro94.
Yes.
Honor has Stormlight, and Odium has Voidlight. Is there a Cultivation Light? If so, can an invested person use it as a third magic on Roshor, or is it a boon/curse, the only magic of Cultivation/Night Watcher? Brandon, there is more. I'll just say that. The rest is a read and find out. You are theorizing in an accurate direction.
What?
What?
I just...
Is there-
I felt so dumb after this one.
I say we call it third light. Easy. Nailed it. and Cultivation Storm, because sure, why not? Let's have a Cultivation Storm too.
She gets one too, yeah, sure.
Let's call that third storm. Easy.
Yeah.
That one goes
the
polar.
last storm.
Yeah. That one goes north to south.
Not up.
And then the end of book 5 is all 3 storms converging. Whoa!
And then they drill a hole to the center of Roshar.
No, and then book 10,
where there's a
6,
giant...
There's 10
gem.
storms. One for each Dawn Shards. And they go in all different directions. And then
Well, 9, because the 10th one is metaphorical.
What if we can?
I would say 9 because it's the 9 unmade. So
what if we
the
have
unmade becomes storms?
What if all the other shards come to Roshar and then there's 16 storms and they all go in slightly different orientations and then
I mean, sure.
all cities have been destroyed.
Technically, all of them are invested there, so...
Technically.
Welcome to Memecast.
But, like, what? Cultivation Light? I always thought that, like, this was...
All right, let's unpack that one.
Yeah, let's
outside
unpack
of the
this one.
memes.
Yeah, this is crazy.
So, Honor, Stormlight, Odium, Voidlight. Great. Is there Cultivation Light? Whatever. So there is more.
Yeah.
That could be Brandon just saying, there is... Cultivation has investiture out there that people can use in some way. It could be him just saying that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
another interpretation I've taken is, so we have metallic physical investiture that can come from a shard.
Yes.
We have liquid and we have gaseous.
Yes, right.
So the Stormlight and Voidlight could just be Honor and Odium's gaseous investiture.
Well, yeah.
And like the mists are just preservation light. And then that dark smoke before the Well of Ascension is just ruin light. And so it kind of makes sense that all shards would have what the Rosharans would call a light.
I mean, right, yeah. It forms differently on Roshar than the mists, but same principle. And Brandon's compared, the mists kind of to Stormlight. Kind of a
specifically, he's compared the mists in the high storms.
Yeah.
Like, those are more analogous structures.
Yeah, because they're super invested and always there, and the Stormlight's a consequence of that.
But the interesting thing I got from this is this does seem to imply that Stormlight is purely honor.
Yeah, which is surprising to me, because I always thought that all the Radiants, right, are like it's a combo system, right?
Yeah. Like the spread are all a mixture.
Yeah.
So I kind of assumed that Stormlight was a mixture of honor and cultivation.
Yeah, me too.
And this definitely implies the other.
Yeah.
With some of the orders definitely more aligned with honor and some definitely more aligned with cultivation, it would have made sense for Stormlight to be to follow the same model, right? But no.
But it does make sense when you think about how summoning honor's perpendicularity creates Stormlight. Like, it infuses...
Yeah, that's
where...
True.
And it also makes sense that, because the Fuse say that the enemy rode the storms, and now Odium rides the storms too. So it was literally honor riding the high storm. So, like, in some respects, it's not super surprising that it's heavy honor, but pure honor? Like, that's kind of the surprising part.
Yeah.
And, like, how the Radiance in Surge Binding came about with how did honor and cultivation do that, right? Like, that combo, it's weird.
So this is making me think, obviously a lot of honor's investiture is just out there freeing the world, right? In the form of Stormlight.
And they use it to power their lights, yeah.
Sure. Where's cultivation's investiture? If she's equally invested in the system as honor is, and I see no reason that she wouldn't be.
She's a hog. She's collecting it all with when she randomly had Nightblood for a bit. No big deal.
But can she even hoard it?
I think so. Because it's just, with the Stormlight and Honor, like, it's all still part of him, but it's just more diffuse. Whereas, like, she didn't necessarily put herself into the system. Like, it's still all in the spiritual realm, like, mostly.
Sure.
Yes.
Whereas Stormlight, it's spread into the physical realm. And
But all the worlds we've seen have some form of diffusion going on. On Scadrio, we have the mists, and we have the ruin light within an Atium. On
light.
on Nalthis,
light.
On Nalthis, we have all the breaths. I guess it's not a very strong evidence
in the Spren, because uplifting Spren to be more intelligent isn't a very honorable thing, but it's a very cultivation thing to do.
That's true, but another idea I had is that even though Honor would have most of his investiture in the spiritual, we obviously saw in Mistborn that because preservation gave that spark of sentience, then that was a flaw that Ruin could exploit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like with that much Stormlight just chilling, like the storms just always happening, maybe that's why Odium could go after Honor and actually defeat and kill Honor before Cultivation, because maybe Cultivation didn't do that. I do like the idea that Cultivation did a lot, is much more like active on maybe the Shadesmar side of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems completely reasonable. Yeah. But
I like that.
Yeah.
There's also Brennan has compared the gem hearts in like Chasm Fiends and such to it's a leak from the spiritual realm into the physical realm.
Yep.
Much like Adium.
Yep.
Yeah.
So she could be fueling that.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh, she could be
you
gem
think?
hearts.
Yep.
At this stage, there's so much mystery with Cultivation that I feel like this will all be so explained eventually, and it's gonna blow our minds.
Definitely. It's gonna be great.
All the stuff that Brandon's put in that is foreshadowing what Cultivation's doing that we're just not cluing in on.
Yeah.
There's gonna be things.
I can't wait for Stormlight 10 and the Lost Metal.
He'll have Lost Metal and Era 3 done before Back 5, so that's his plan.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to start Era 5. Not Era 5.
Era 5.
Era 5!
Oh no, Era 5 is happening. It's a matter
Era
of time.
5 is after the end of the Cosmere, where they go back in time to prehistoric Cosmere, with primordial Adenalcium. And then they're like, yo, what if I can burn Adenalcium? What's up? Okay, moving on!
Next, Wab. It is about Kandra and Mistwraiths and whether they are truly immortal or just very long-lived, to which Brandon says that they are not functionally immortal. They're just very, very long-lived. If you look at the first generation, they do show signs of aging, and they are about 1,000, maybe 1,100 years old, counting their human lives. They will eventually die of old age. They don't suffer from some of the ailments that, say, humans do, and it takes a bit longer. And there is some magical sustaining going on. But that's the thing with them.
I wonder if Harmony can slow the process, because I feel like the kandra are pretty important to Harmony directly, and if 1,000 years is our, line.
I mean, I almost feel like he can just make new ones if he needs to, or if he wants to.
He certainly could.
Rashek could.
Yeah, yeah,
I
right.
mean, we know he's not right now because Milan was saying that they're not allowed to make any more right now.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually inconsistent with previous things Brandon has said about Kandra.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because in the annotations, he talks about the only reason the first generation looks the way they do is because they were human and thinks they should be getting old. But like a 100% from birth Kandra, like that's not going to happen because they're Kandra. Like,
yeah.
Well, they were never human.
But aren't all Mistwraiths human all the way down?
They weren't like aware of their humanity. Like,
well, no.
Didn't Mistwraiths breed true though?
Yes.
But their spiritual aspect might still be holding onto human traits, such as aging.
But like, no, it's the way he talks about in the annotation. It's because they were human and they have memories of being human they think they should be getting old.
No, sure, I see why you think it's inconsistent, but it could be explained by they are showing those signs more strongly and more obviously than let's say the second generation, it's going to take them 2,000 years to start looking the same way.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. But the implication here is that, like, oh no, you just get 1,000 years and you get old and die.
Well,
I don't think that's the case.
This could be one of those things that because Brandon has not directly immersed himself in Scadrial for a while, that he gets like a few details wrong because he's not like in his notes, right?
And I mean, Tensoon was seeming pretty grumpy,
pretty normal.
I think
he's.
Oh, he's just generally pretty grumpy, isn't he? Yeah.
He's always grumpy. Milan is looking just
spry
fine.
and just...
And Tensoon was fine too. He's just always grumpy.
Yeah.
Plus, he must have just found out about the Sunni pups. That's gotta ruin his day.
Well, that's true.
Because
and also,
at this
he
point, he's as old as the first generation was.
That's what I'm thinking,
in Hero of Ages. So it's like, he's not looking that old.
And yeah, he was looking much better.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason for them figuring out how they can commit suicide. I thought it's like to end their lives. It's like, why did they have to do that? Like, yes, to make it so people can't control them anymore, but then why did like the first and second generation use that to die, and other than just dying of old age? Like,
it's I think like if we read this again, if you look at the first generation, you'll see an example of aging happening. So that's not saying that they'll all age like the first generation.
Sure.
But maybe just like bringing it to, that, they'll age, and probably the first generation that was maybe most acute, but maybe in like 10,000 years, they'll get there, right? Like, I think that could be reasonable, but who knows what that line is, right? But certainly Tensoon and Milan seem perfectly fine.
Yeah. Cool. And it's this next one.
The classic. The classic.
Arashara. And she asked about Gavilar's Black Sphere. And I think she'll be asking about this for many years.
And we finally have an answer, you guys.
Oh, do we? The answer is, we're theorizing in the right direction. We are... We have two main theories about what Gavilar's spheres are, and Brandon thinks they are both very valid theories. He's not trying to pull something sneaky, but we're theorizing in the right direction. Okay,
so first of all, Brandon's definition of what a very valid theory is different than what we would think is a valid.
It's kind of like when he says, "Good question."
Yeah, and how he's like, I very rarely say no. Like, he almost will never say that theory is dumb. He will not say that, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, it is completely stupid for Gavilar to just have unmade and just giving them out like candies. That does not make any sense. Well, and it makes far much more sense for him to somehow acquire Void Light and have spheres of Void Light.
But when he gives it to Eshonai, he even says, "This is one of your gods."
But that wouldn't even be an unmade, Ben.
But then, so if it was an unmade, which was his thing, then he would think that it's one of their gods. So he would be giving out, because he even says, "I'm giving your god back to you. I'm giving an unmade to you." And so I don't think it's that dumb or that ridiculous that he'd be giving out parts of an unmade. I think he's split into
I don't
pieces.
think Eshonai was convinced that he could actually bring the gods back.
Yeah.
And they know that the unmade aren't the gods. The listeners know. And if Eshonai was convinced that he could bring the gods back, then maybe Gavilar doesn't. Gavilar knows that the unmade are not the gods because he can actually bring them back.
Well, so here's the thing, right? The reason the fused, the listener gods came back is because of the Everstorm, which was summoned by the Storm forms, which used Void Spren in conjunction with Stormlight.
Yes.
To summon said storm.
Did they use Stormlight?
They were in the middle of a high storm.
I don't think that mattered.
It actually didn't, because Eshonai showed summoned a tiny cloud, a tiny storm, when she came back from her transformation.
But they did need to be in a high storm to get the form in the first place.
Yes.
But that's... No.
But that's just a function of...
No, I know.
The transformation,
I know.
So the key component here is a Void Spren. they needed the Void Sprint to turn into Storm form to make all of that happen.
Yes. Oh, so it could just be Void Light with a Void Sprint in it?
Or just Void Sprint.
I just don't... That is stupid to think that there are separate unmade, that Brandon doesn't know how many there are of Gavilar's black spheres. And like this whole idea of, oh, they're splitting off unmade into spheres. No. I don't know. That's dumb.
Yeah. I don't think I like the unmade theory anymore.
I will say I have spoken privately with you about this, Eric. I don't actually think it is an unmade anymore, but I still think it's a valid theory.
Moving on. All right, great. Now we're on to FanX. So in FanX, this is probably the spiciest one. And let's just read this. Questioner. We find out Hoid is an incredibly powerful person in Arcanum Unbounded. Brandon, yes. Questioner, like probably one of the most powerful people in the Cosmere. Brandon, he once was and no longer is. And then he says, I can't talk a lot about Hoid, but I can give you a little bit where he came from. And then he talks about the writing process of Hoid and the Cosmere and stuff. But he once was and no longer is.
Now, when this was first reported, it was as Hoid was once the most powerful person in the Cosmere, which is slightly different than what was actually said.
That is critically different.
Which is why we have Arcanum.
That is seriously, though. Where we can just listen to the audio, and hopefully the audio is good enough where it's not just inaudible there. So, I mean, one of the most powerful people. I can believe that.
Absolutely.
Because I would say the people who shattered Adenalsium were the most powerful people in the Cosmere for at least a short amount of time.
Absolutely.
Right before they picked up those shards, and that was all sorted out.
Yeah. But at this point, he's not as strong as a shard. Like, even close.
And this is in line with the previous knowledge we had that he was once offered a shard.
That's true.
And he rejected it. So you wouldn't offer a shard to someone who's not on a similar power level.
I'm now imagining that like Hoid refuses a shard and they're just like, well, we got to give this 16th one to someone. Hey, you there?
Hey, Race, come here.
No, oh, God, that I don't know about. I think Race knew exactly what he wanted.
No, it was. Hey guys, this would be really funny. Hey, 80, get over here.
Oh no!
That's where my mind was going.
Oh no! Oh, it's pretty funny though. I don't. Do you think there's any more to that? Once was and no longer is.
I mean, I'm quite on board with the he wielded the weapon kind of theory. So
sure,
yeah, I'm kind of behind that.
Yeah, I definitely think I like the theory that he was the one wielding the weapon. And the repercussions of that are why Hoid is so weird. Like, you can't hurt people. That
does seem the most sensible.
The aluminum bomb?
No.
The spiritual aluminum shrapnel.
No. But that would make sense if whatever anti-Adenalsium force, whatever, if Hoid's himself wielding the weapon, sure, that probably makes most sense. Moving on.
So this next one is asking about the other Surgebinder in Amaram's army. Was it Tien? And yes, it was. And Brandon confirms that Tien was a Lightweaver. So I'm right, y'all.
Yay!
I mean, we knew that he was a Lightweaver.
Did we?
Nice.
Yeah.
You sure?
This is like
Ian
the fourth
was also
time this
happy
said
at
it.
that.
Okay.
Well, Ian still was correct because he always said that. So,
So what this is referring to, if you guys don't remember, is in Oathbringer, when the Ghostbloods send a letter to Shallan very early on to kind of recruit her to go figure out what's going on in Urithiru, they talk about they knowing of another, they know about the Skybreakers, and the Skybreakers know about another Surgebinder in Amaram's army, and they didn't know about Kaladin at the time.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that other Surgebinder having been taken care of, which is probably why they overlooked Kaladin. And so that other Surgebinder, Tien.
Rip.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, because Spren bonds don't run in families, but like Spren do look where other Spren are looking.
Right,
Yeah.
correct. Yes.
Cool.
Tinfoil hat theory. That's why Amaram called Tien specifically. Whoa.
Whoa.
Amaram did not call Tien. It was Rashon who...
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Rashon was
planned
definitely just
that.
being a douche there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Double
Okay, you're
tinfoil
right.
hat theory. Amaram told
Told
Rashon.
Rashon to do it. Easy. Moving on.
Next swap.
Moving
Let's go to
on.
the next swap.
The questioner asks if characters can draw Stormlight from other people. Can they steal Stormlight from others? Brandon says that's no in a lot of situations, mostly no, except in certain special situations. But then that doesn't count if they're carrying it, only if they've invested. So I think what he's saying there is they can use Stormlight that someone's used.
I think
No.
what he's saying there is like, if Kaladin has a gemstone with Stormlight in it, Shallan can infuse from that gem,
Yeah.
no problem. It's only if Kaladin has breathed in that investiture.
Then it becomes...
Then they
Yeah.
can't use it.
But then Larkins can still take it.
Larkins
Well,
eat
that's-
investiture. Like, they're
Yeah.
designed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's
And
also
there are, we know
special
that there are some other beasties out there
Mhm.
Yep.
who can also do that.
Yep.
And now, because Jebus stole my spot,
Oh,
I
I
get
did?
to read this one.
Oh!
Okay.
If Hoid was to get his hands on quote-unquote Bavadinium, could he alloy it with Lerasium and get Sand Mastery? To which Brandon says, this is theoretically possible.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there's lots of theoretically possible things that you can do.
Well, I would go as far as to say it's pretty feasible, because my interpretation of Lerasium is that it has to do a lot with connection, and we already
Sure.
know that when you
Yeah.
burn it,
Yeah,
it gives
yeah.
you connection to preservation, and so
Yeah.
alloying that with the god metals of other shards connects you with them. So
Yeah.
maybe there are more steps involved, but in order to use an invested art, you usually have to be connected with the shard associated with
True.
that invested
That's
art.
true.
And so burning a god metal Lerasium alloy could be a very important first step.
Cool.
I could see that.
Cool. This next one, also from Storm Lightning. In the Way of Kings, Hoid says that he has a grudge against Race and Bavadin. Is that one grudge against both of them, or two separate grudges? And Brandon says, they are a similar grudge. Okay.
Interesting.
Cool. Good to know.
So this
Huh.
next one, also from Storm Lightning,
Ooh.
was Hoid's hair white from birth? Brandon, Hoid's hair in the current incarnation was not white from birth, but that's not canon until I write it. So his hair was not white in the very first story I wrote about him, but it was white by Dragonsteel. So who knows what I'll do when I get back to that. But right now, I have it not being natural. And in the Liar of Partenell chapters that he's posted, Hoid's hair was brown in those.
Okay, so that's what he's referring to there. Is
I feel like this goes back to the whole Liar of Partenell was a prequel to what was Dragonsteel Prime, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that idea.
Mhm.
So who knows how this future Dragonsteel trilogy will actually work? Like, are we going to have a massive time skip from one book for Shattering to later? I don't know.
Well, it's supposed to be a frame story. So we're going to get... It's going to be like Kingkiller Chronicles by Patrick Rothfuss, basically.
Except maybe finished.
oh,
Wow.
But
See, we foreshadowed that earlier in the episode, talking about things being finished or
Yeah.
not. See, that's what makes it such a
Planned.
good joke.
But I
Planned.
like characters whose hair goes white for reasons. So, like, woo. I
Yep.
like Hoid.
Yes, I mean, we do generally like Hoid.
you must
Alright,
really
next
like
one.
you must really like characters that just get older. Then
No, like young people with white hair. That's it.
He eventually
I like
likes
that.
all characters. Next swab, we have just a quick confirmation that it was Naz drawing the Bridgeman in Bridge 4 back in, I think, Words of Radiance.
Yep.
And so the questioner asks why he's so interested in Bridge 4, to which Brandon explains that, we're going to find clues in the art pieces of the Stormlight archive. Naz was trying to obtain... Naz and certain elements of the Cosmere are very interested in the progress of the Nahel bond as the Night Radiants are making them.
That's pretty interesting.
It is pretty interesting.
How do they know where the search finders are to go study them?
Fortune.
Everything's connected in the spiritual realm.
Yeah, that's true.
What, Evgeni?
I said fortune.
Just compound fortune and then start drawing
pretty
random
much.
people.
Yeah.
How does Hoid know when there's a book happening in this world?
Utilizing fortune's a good way, but I'm curious how they... Well, I guess they'd know about the Nihil bond, but like the whole point of Stormlight is, the magic's coming back, and if they're very interested about that progress, do they want... I don't know, that's very
They probably
interesting
want,
to
let's
me.
be fair, they probably want in on it. Like, search binders get a lot of power.
But it's also
yeah,
a
that's
lot of
true.
research. Like if this is one, so it could be the 17th Shard investigating this, and by extension, Chris.
Well, I think it's not the 17th shard. It's not just them.
Sure, absolutely. But here's why it could be them. It's because the 17th Shard, the in-world organization, is very interested in keeping things kind of under the hood, worlds separate, nothing crazy going on, no shards fighting each other or
That's
reassembling.
basically the opposite of the out-of-universe 17.
yeah, right. We want everything to happen. And so if they have all of these interests, then it would align with their interest to be aware that there are these powerhouses developing back on Roshar, and maybe they want to stop them, maybe they want to control them, maybe they just want to know that it's happening so that they can do damage control if something goes out of hand, because there's a big bad in that system.
Yeah.
And also, one planet has already been destroyed in that system, so they probably be like, let's just make sure that doesn't happen again.
So my perspective on things is that the 17th shard isn't as important as we once thought they were.
I agree.
Like, and it's just like, it's the University of Silverlight are way more than just the 17th shard. Like, I don't even know if the 17th shard are involved with the University of Silverlight, rather.
Yeah.
And so this is the first chance that Silverlight is getting to study the Nihil bond.
True.
Because we don't know when Silverlight was founded, but it could have been after the Recreants.
And they would be very interested in studying these abilities.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's Knights Radiant did World Hop. Like, so it's like that knowledge of them existing would be out there. But by the time Silverlight and the universities are like really getting going, it's like they're gone. It's like, okay, so we can't really study these.
It could be secondhand knowledge.
Yeah. But so like now that they know, like, oh wait, those things are coming back. Like, we want to be on the ground floor studying
It's
those
like
things.
Jurassic Park and the dinosaurs coming back. Instead, it's Spren and Knights Radiant.
Pretty much.
They're very excited about studying.
That is exactly what it is.
I was thinking
Jurassic Roshar. They imprisoned the Spren. They imprisoned the Spren in gemstones. Amber. Okay, let's move on.
Great. I like the next wob. The next wob's great. I'm just going to read it how it is. Questioner.
Yep.
Why aren't there any dragons in your book? And Brandon replies, there are dragons in my books. They're just hiding.
How literally should we interpret this? Just
I
putting
don't
that out
know.
there.
So that time that like Shallan walked past a tree? I'm pretty sure there was a dragon hiding behind that tree. That's how literally I'm taking this.
In the branches.
In the branches. There's all over the place. There's just everyone except for the main characters are dragons. Except
now, we recorded an episode on Frost that has not yet aired, but it will, and we discussed how have we seen dragons before? And we don't know. And I mean, I feel like either this is Brandon being extremely snarky, which is completely possible.
Mm-hmm.
He could be referring to Frost, that like, well, Frost, you've like seen text from him, so yeah, okay, sure. Or C, there are legitimately dragons hiding because they are shapeshifters and they're an important race. They presumably, if we're like, hey, if these random humans can access fortune, probably dragons could too, and maybe be around important events. That would not be surprising. It would not be surprising if we have literally met dragons already.
Yeah. And we've got a candidate for a dragon already. We've got Rial, who is very clearly a world hopper that we don't know where they're from. and it's not a kandra, well, because we ruled them out long ago. But yeah, I don't know. Rial could be a dragon. Who knows?
I don't know. I don't like Rial, so I don't want him to
and
be
it's
a dragon.
automatically not a dragon, yeah.
No, I
That's
want to
how it
like
works.
the dragon, so it's like I don't like.
He doesn't have white hair.
No.
I choose to interpret that it's either Brandon being extremely snarky because he's always been straightforward and said, there are dragons in the Cosmere. He's always said that. But
Mhm.
they're hiding. I think this warrants further questioning on this subject.
Oh yeah,
About
definitely.
if we've ever seen one on screen.
Yes.
Excluding the Traveler.
Excluding Frost.
Yes.
Excluding Frost.
Yes.
Yes.
This next one is a really long question about kandra, again, about if kandra imitate a human and they get with another human, could they reproduce as a human? And Brandon was like, yes, but then later he's like, yeah, he might need to backpedal on it because his logic was that, well, the kandra are making cellular copies of the human, right? So you could then create those parts and then reproduce. But Brandon might need to look at his notes, and that might not be true in the future.
Cool.
Yeah.
I personally think this is extremely weird.
Yes.
I mean, a little bit.
That, I don't know, like, what would the spiritual aspect be of things like your dad is not like, say, your dad, it's the corpse of some other random person.
It's the
and
corpse
it's
of your
not the
dad.
kandra. It's the corpse.
But
It's the
it's
corpse.
not even the corpse. Like
Right,
It's just
exactly.
personally,
No,
I
I
don't
know.
think it should be possible because
Yeah, I don't think so. either.
they're like they can recreate the person, but they can't recreate their DNA. From my
Well, I mean,
from
I
my
think the most
first thought.
the most interesting part of this wob for me is the part where he says he specifically does not want them to be able to be identified by DNA. He wants them to be able to
By a blood test.
Well,
Yeah,
by
by a blood
blood
test.
test.
Yeah, and so he if they are able to recreate the DNA, and we know they're able to recreate the reproductive organs and have kids, it would make sense that they'd be able to have the kids of someone else, basically, which is really weird. Nicole, yeah, it is
Super
really
weird.
weird.
And
Yeah.
it is consistent with the previous wob that a kandra male can impregnate a human female, and a kandra, well, I say kandra male, but like a kandra posing as a human male, right?
Yeah.
And a kandra posing as a human female can have a child with a human male as long as she remains in human form for the entire pregnancy.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That's weird.
So this has been his stance so far,
Mhm.
but as events move into Era 3 and definitely Era 4, it's something he's going to have to go back to and make decisions on, well, do they replicate just the blood? Do they replicate all the cells? Do they replicate the cells, but then their DNA is actually different?
I guess I'm just more worried about it from, because this is the Cosmere and spiritual DNA is a thing. Like, how does that spiritual DNA aspect work on this hypothetical child? Right?
This feels extremely fudgeable to me. Like,
Well,
it sounds like
But
something
any
he can
spiritual
just say.
anything could be
Yeah, yeah,
fungible, so.
Yeah, he can just say, well, this is how it works.
It is interesting that he doesn't want a blood test because that's the science fiction trope. Like, oh, we got to do a blood test to see if you're the shapeshifter. DS9, yeah. And so Brandon specifically doesn't want that. I imagine that will come up in like the science
Yeah.
fiction era, right?
It has
Like,
to,
that
yeah.
seems
I mean-
reasonable.
I mean, you say science fiction, but like DNA profiling for crimes is something we already do. So he probably
yeah,
means
no,
like
I
if a
mean the
kandra commits a-
detection of shapeshifters. That's
Yes,
what I'm
but the thing
talking
is
about.
in when we get to current era Mistborn and they have DNA profiling, they'll know, people know kandra exists.
But it's
They-
1980s tech. How
Oh,
prevalent
yeah.
was DNA testing in the 1980s?
It was very rare. But it was like
Yeah.
just launching off. I've been listening to a true crime podcast and
Oh,
talk
okay.
about it a lot. And
Okay.
like, it was very, very new in the 80s. So that's a good point.
So that could be something that's kind of on the cusp there, and it may become like a plot point, but not a thing that's constantly happening.
Yeah. Cool.
To the next wob. In the beginning of the Alloy of Law, Bloody Tan says that he has met God, Death, and the Survivor. We know that Leslie was working with Harmony the entire time. Was Bloody Tan also under the influence of Harmony? To which Brandon says that under the influence is perhaps, and he hesitates, no, at this point, but Bloody Tan is not lying at that point. Because under the influence is kind of extreme, but Harmony is not 100% guiltless in this. Which then moves on to conversation about Harmony being hated and how Brandon doesn't think that Harmony deserves to be hated, but he's having troubles figuring out how to make things work.
See, the point about Harmony being hated, I definitely remember when I finished Shadows of Self. I was not a fan of Harmony.
I believe I told Eric, who was going to the Shadows of Self release or something, to tell. No, it was at something, but I specifically told Eric to tell Brandon I was very annoyed with him at what happened.
Yeah.
At what he made Sazed do.
Yeah. And I did give that message. Yes.
That's happening a lot now that I think about it. You telling Eric to tell Brandon that you're annoyed with something.
Well, that's because Ian hasn't met Brandon, and I
have met Brandon.
I was going to say you haven't.
Hadn't.
Yes.
One of my, and this is a question that's been interesting to me in the past as well. One of the interesting things here is that Harmony is not completely guiltless in this. And so I wonder if Bloody Tan has maybe seen a vision of her. So Harmony is not making him do things, but maybe he has shown up and has told him things or revealed some bigger scheme things. And so Bloody Tan was still under his own will, but that will was like his decisions were affected by the information provided by Harmony.
Yeah, maybe he wasn't Wax 1.0 or something, but like I feel like Harmony could have tried to use Bloody Tan for a purpose, and it went horribly wrong.
Bloody Tan is so weird, even
Right,
still. Like that needs to be resolved. That needs to be resolved in Lost Metal because that's just super weird. I want to know what the hell was going on with Bloody Tan.
What was weird about him? Remind me. I just remember him being
Everything!
a serial killer, wasn't he?
Literally everything about
So
him.
in the prologue of the Alloy of Law,
Yeah.
he captures Leslie, and that could be him playing with Harmony and her, although I doubt it.
Mhm.
And then Wax tries to pull the trick with Leslie where they sync up and they blink a few times and he shoots the person behind her.
Yeah.
And then Bloody Tan moves her
Okay.
in the exact moment, like he's got, I don't know, ATM.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
And
Yeah,
like
it's
Leslie
weird.
as Palm like quotes things of Bloody Tan, right? Right? In Shadows?
But she was also there,
yes,
so
someone else moves her, moves us. Lawman.
Yeah, but like that's like a pretty central part of Palm in that something else moves us in Shadows of Self. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of weird.
the fact that Bloody Tan knew about that.
Not Bloody Tan, Bloody Tan.
Yes. But
Bloody tall.
Also
in
bloody,
Harmony's
but-
defense, I think being a god is a kind of difficult job. So
No, that's true. Right. Yeah, I don't think he deserves to be hated either. Right. Like that. He's like, well, that did not pan out. Whatever that is. But maybe Bloody Tan was like influenced by Trell or something, right?
Could be. I wonder.
Well, but then Harmony would be guiltless. Like if Harmony is involved with Bloody Tan somehow.
Yeah, okay. I mean, there's a way to make those both work out. But I don't
so
know.
I'm just checking out the wobs on Bloody Tan.
Yeah.
We know that he's not an ATM misting.
Okay.
Was he performing like Lessie? That's a raffle. Did he burn bend alloy?
Doesn't he like Raffo like all of these?
He's not burning bend alloy at any point. I ask whether he was influenced and or controlled by Harmony or one of his agents. Controlled by Harmony, no. Was he controlled or influenced by anyone outside of himself? Sounds like he's about to say yeah, but then raffles it.
What a surprise.
Okay, so maybe there is something very weird going on with Buddy Tan.
And then
Tan
we're
is
just
weird.
going into raffle territory all the time.
Yeah.
There we go. I will be upset with Era 2 if we don't get Bloody Tan resolved, because that's the prologue of Era 2. Like,
Yeah.
this has been really important. Lessie's been important, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those promises that writers
Yeah.
give, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We would
And
expect,
clearly-
if not a full resolution, then at least some resolution to it.
Clearly, Brandon planned something because it is so weird. And
Yeah.
Right. I don't know.
I'm reminded, talking about Harmony quickly, I'm reminded of the Futurama quote where Bender's God for a day, and then everyone dies, and he meets God, and God's like, yeah, you were doing really well until everyone died.
Well, all right. So we're not through the doc as nearly as much as we thought. So we're gonna do Who's That Cosmere Character?
Who's that
Cosmere character?
Right, and I get to host it for like the first time in like, it has been like 3 or 4 months.
10,000 years.
Yeah. For
But
10,000 years, my slumber
before-
has awoken.
Yes.
Before we get into it, I would like to thank Avivism on Discord for going through and tabulating all of the
Oh,
currently
that's
aired
true.
score for Who's That Cosmere Character.
That's true. That was dedication, and I strongly love that. That is
Yeah.
great work.
Super
Thank you.
I
appreciated that.
absolutely love it.
you
Well,
definitely
yeah,
would.
but you're never hosting it, Ian. So there.
Details.
Look, I want more data. Who was on each show? Who was presenting?
Make a graph.
Yeah,
For
I want a
those
graph.
who aren't looking at the list, I am in the lead at 21 wins.
Ian is also in the lead because he's on almost every episode and never does Who's That Cosmere Character.
Eric, stop being a sore loser and let him talk.
Eric is in second at 6. Evgeni
that's depressing.
third at 5th. Alex is at 4. Matt is at 3. David and Grace are tied at 2. And Shannon is at 1.
Okay, so what we need is all of those numbers to be this many out of this many
Yeah.
times being.
I'm pretty
Win-loss
sure.
win-loss ratio.
Shannon is 1 for 1. She's one like the only one she's been on. So yeah, I think she'll
Well,
be the best.
no, there was 2 episodes, but I guess there was only one Who's That Cosmere.
There's only one here that
Yeah,
covers the
yeah,
character.
yeah,
So
yeah.
well done, Shannon. You're in the lead for best.
Shannon
win
has
to
2
lose.
more. There's 2 more episodes of Shannon currently
Ooh.
recorded.
Oh, okay. Ooh.
Let's see
Ignore
how
me.
this episode's turn out.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Stop
so
Ian and no one else. That's the plan.
it's your chance to catch up, Eric.
It's like, I
know.
like how
That's true.
I'm so far in the lead, and one of my guesses was literally Bilbo Baggins.
I know. Well, that's a meme at this point. Did Bilbo go to Vax
Definitely.
Where he
With the
summoned
One Ring?
the reverse storm.
with the reverse storm with Third Light? Yes,
I'm pretty sure
Third
Bilbo's a
Light.
dragon, guys. Definitely.
he could be.
He's Smog.
He was Smog. No, my God. It was Martin Freeman cosplaying Benedict Cumberbatch as they were doing the mocap for Smog. Easy.
Absolutely.
100%.
Right.
Save
okay.
us.
So here is
Who's
the
that
game.
Middle
that
Earth
we-
character?
Tom
You know, that
Bombadil.
would be
It's
a
always
good
Tom
game.
Bombadil.
That would be a good game for a Lord of the Rings podcast, and they would always choose a character from Silmarillion. Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Easy.
Like, wait, what?
I would have been good at this game 15 years ago.
You fished it all out for Cosmere knowledge now, haven't you?
Pretty much.
I need the brain space.
Yeah.
Just need to create more aspects. Come on.
Yeah.
You just need to read Lord of the Rings, Stephen pages through, and,
And
then
create a
gets an
Tolkien
aspect.
aspect.
And it's just Stephen Colbert. Great.
Okay, so guys, this is the game where you, the listeners, you send in 5 clues and a character to who's that Cosmere character at gmail.com. And then I will read out the clues one after the other, and these guys have to try and guess who the character is before we get to the last clue, because if you get to the last clue, they all lose, and knowing is the point. Okay, so.
I guess we should tally when we got stumped as well on that.
Oh, that'd be a
tally.
good idea.
Sure.
Yeah. on that. We need to make a spreadsheet.
Get on a Discord user who was
Spreadsheet.
very nice and helpful.
Yes. Okay, clue number 1 is... firstly, this was sent in by Andrew Olson. Clue
Great.
number 1. This character is female.
Iole Sadius.
It is
Boom.
not Eli Sadius.
Ah.
I'm going to say Edgley.
Ooh.
It is not Edgley.
I like how you're pronouncing. I almost want you every time someone says a name, Ben, that you just pronounce it in your own different way.
Yeah,
This is a prelude to the pronunciation podcast, which is going to come.
It is
Yes.
not Aldonali Dalsium.
Andalasium.
Is it Hesina?
Andalasium so lazy. He could come Andalasium.
Andy. Andy.
It is... Andy, good old Andy. It is not Hesina. No, I'm just kidding about that one. It's not Hesina.
Antediluvian.
How long can this go on?
Oh,
Okay. Clue number 2. This character was married.
Wait. Okay. Now we enter the phase of Who's That Cosmere character where was married.
Okay, so
That-
the
that is
person...
does that require past tense? Okay.
I added the was because the character wrote is, but it's a was. This character
What?
was married. It requires the past tense, yes.
Navani
It is not Navani.
was married and then is currently married. Like, all right.
this is confusing.
No, I'm more confused now. I forget I said anything. Disaster.
Can this clue be rephrased as without any loss of information or gain of information, as this character attended her own wedding in the past?
Yes, this character attended their own wedding in the past.
Vin?
It is not Vin.
I was actually literally thinking that because in the moments after
alright.
Ellen's
Yeah.
death, she was married, but I wasn't going to go that direction.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is
I
good.
have a
Also-
guess, but I can't remember her name.
Ooh.
Well, Ben is a more kind overlord than Grace is on
Grace.
this game show. So
Okay.
Ben actually says things if we ask for elaboration.
I like to have fun while I'm playing as well, and it's really fun to watch you guys squirm, so yeah.
Because my guess is Iadon's wife, the queen from
what was her
Elantris.
name?
But I can't remember her name.
What was her name?
I
But
would
which
need a
one, though?
name.
His
one.
second wife, the one that was married to him.
Did you even have a name for Raoden's mom?
No, we do
Yeah, I
not.
didn't think so. What was her
Ah.
name?
I can remember literally every other character in Elantris. I can't remember her name.
Did her name
Just
start with
start
a
guessing
T?
Aeons and you'll get there eventually.
I can't remember which Aeon is in her name.
Ah. Is that right, Ben?
I'm going to be nice and say no, it's not correct.
Okay.
So we're
I'm going to go look up her name because
Okay,
this is
yeah, that's
bothering
what
me.
that. Yeah, if it's not her, then yeah.
In
I
the
wanna know
interest
that
of
person.
time that we've already wasted so much of.
Look, everything is perfect. We've been on task 100% of the time in this episode.
Exactly.
Her
Our
name is
listeners are very-
Ishin.
It is not Ishin.
Okay,
Okay.
of course it is.
Clue number 3.
That is not how I refuse to pronounce it like that. And I'm like, Ishin? What? That's a cleaning product.
Here's the thing, though.
That is a
When he
cleaning
says
product.
Ishin, I know how it is spelled.
Yeah.
No, I don't.
No, I don't either.
E is spelled like E.
E.
Next clue.
Clue number 3. This character is at home among the ash.
Ham's wife.
It is not Ham's wife.
I don't think she's named, so
I don't think
that's
she
okay.
is either, yeah.
I think she might be.
Is she?
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up Ham. We're only looking up particular things that are confirmed.
That's a
No.
very specific clue.
Can you say that again?
This character is at home among the ash.
Oh, yeah. Ham's wife is named. It's
It's
named
silence.
Mardra.
It is not silence.
Okay.
Ooh,
I was
that's a
thinking
good
maybe the
guess,
trees
though.
there were ashes or something.
Trying really hard not to guess anything schedule again.
No, but it is Scadrial.
Not necessarily. That could totally be a trick question.
This smells
that's
like
true.
a red herring clue.
Yeah, but sometimes you guys like get obvious Roshar clues, and you're like, but what if it's not Roshar? What if the
Oh,
obviously
no.
Rosharan clue?
Is it Eevee?
It is Eevee.
Okay, so I was
Okay.
thinking
All right.
Eevee for was
All right.
married.
All right.
I didn't want to go that direction.
Sorry, what I meant to say is it is Evie. Yes. 'Cause
Yeah, Evie. It's
Yeah,
not
it's-
Evie.
I say
Brandon
Evie,
says
yeah.
Eevee.
Brenda says Eevee.
Ah!
Well, then he should have spelt it that way.
yeah,
It's
seriously,
not an
though.
Aeon, so
It's an
no.
No.
Yep, so clue number 4 was
She's a
I was going to
Pokemon.
laugh so much. Exactly, Eevee's a
Say that
football.
again.
Clue number 4 I was going to laugh so much at because clue number 4 is this character is from Roshar. And then clue,
Oh,
clue
okay.
number 5.
All right. Foot in mouth. Okay, great.
Yeah. Clue number 5 was this character was killed by her husband.
Rip.
Yep.
Yep.
That was a good one. I like that.
That was.
Mm-hmm.
That was quality. And I remembered. I looked up Ham's wife's name, which oh cool,
I don't think we heard
Mardra.
that. What is it?
Mardra,
Mardra.
which I
That's
definitely
such a
would-
wife name.
wow.
Okay.
That's I
don't know how to
wanna make
respond
a
to that.
joke.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like,
Cut that. Don't worry about it. So, for character number 2, clue number 1. This character died on Scadrial.
Leras.
God damn it, yeah, it is.
I was literally about to say that.
wow.
Actually was opening my mouth to speak up and say Laras.
We're doing another
didn't
one.
know, if I should go Leras or Ati, but I like Leras more. So
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
died
on Vax.
Yeah. So, well done, Carrie Fong. That was...
No, we're doing another one.
Are we doing a third one? Okay, let me just go
Yes.
through the other clues there, where this character interacted with a Kelsia. This character was very determined. This character has many names. And this character was nicknamed Fuzz.
God, this is the dangerous part about giving clues on central Cosmere things, because that's what we'll guess first.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, he is a storyteller, Hoid. Oh, well, we figured that one out.
He likes to play the flute.
Yeah.
Roshek.
I'm around.
Okay, cool. I've got a good one.
Okay, great.
Okay, so
Dang it, Ian.
this third one, it's not Eden, was sent
No,
in.
Ian. I was like, dang it, Ian, for getting that in one go. That's just blind luck at that
It is
stage.
not blind luck. Well, it is 50-50.
I'm so upset. So upset. Could have been
That's
me.
why you have to talk fast, like a Northeasterner.
Yeah. This one was sent in by Miss Spren. So,
Miss Bren.
Oh, I've seen that name.
clue number 1. This character has been the target of assassins.
Yasna.
It is not Yasna.
Look, gonna go with the obvious one, okay?
And I will let
Oh,
Argent
what's
go
the-
first.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know the name of that character, but it's in Oathbringer. The first time we see a Yasna POV, she reads about a king.
Oh, of the Siln dynasty?
Sure,
Yeah, no, this
Who
is
was-
the king
who
of
was-
the Siln dynasty.
who was a target of many assassination attempts, some of them even from his own family, and then he was fine with all of them. He survived, and then he set up a big feast with his entire family, murdered them. Did he cook them?
I don't think he cooked them. I think that's a little...
But at the end,
Much.
choked on the food
Mhm.
at that feast and died that way. That's my
Was
guess.
this one of the kings of the Siln dynasty? I think
I
it
will
was.
say that Ben's eyebrows wiggled when you said Silm.
I'm just, I normally require a name. I'm just gonna give this one to you, because that's goddamn impressive. Yes, it was Nanket, the Sil Dynasty king, who
Do I
survived
get a half
many
point
assassinations.
for saying Siln dynasty?
No, you do not.
No, what? What? That's some BS.
that was very impressive. As soon as you started saying, "Oh, that king in OB in Yasna's," this is like
The Silm.
I've got the I've got the Oathbringer. I've got the Coppermine article in front of me, and you basically just read out the Coppermine article almost word for word.
Well, let me close that down then.
For the record, my guess was going to be a Sudan, so
I'm sorry, who?
I was going to be wrong.
A
A
Sudan.
Sudan. Elikar's wife.
Aesidon.
A Sudan.
Aesidon?
Like, I
I
don't
heard,
understand
like-
how you're getting Aesidon out of this. Like,
It's a
Aesidon.
Sweden.
Well, I don't trust any of your pronunciations. So
It's-
there.
Right, three is it. We're not doing any
Yeah.
more. You guys are getting,
Yep, that's
you're
right.
getting really good at this. I've
Read
been away
the
too
other
long.
clues.
Oh yeah. Clue number 2 was this
Clue
character
number
is dead.
2. Didn't even get to clue 2.
Number 3 was this character is a king. This character has never been seen on screen, and this character has a taste for company. So
Man.
Huh.
A taste for
maybe he
company.
did cook them and eat them.
Yeah, I don't know. Great.
yes, oh yeah,
Well-
he did. He cooked them and ate them. Yeah, and choked them.
Wow.
Okay.
Look, I identified that he was a member of the Silm Dynasty. So
Yes,
you know
yes, you
what?
did.
I am going to give myself a bonus.
Whoever's tallying this, don't give him a bonus point.
In my heart, I'll give myself a bonus.
Okay.
All right. So with that, guys, we will have more Words of Brandon and probably like way too many more because the Legion release has a lot more too. So
And they're
follow us
good.
on 17chart.com, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud. You can leave us a review on iTunes. Join us in Discord. We got fun. We got games. We got theories. We got all the things that you need for your Brandon Sanderson needs. Let's add the word need in there a few more times.
Need.
Yes.
Need some bread.
And so we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Paul.